Last time, we ended off with the battle for Arrakis, where the troops of Muad al-Adib, or Paul, were encircling the Emperor's troops, the Sardakwa, or Solus Secundos, as well as we also oversaw the death of Baron Harkonnen by the hand of Alia, the sister of Paul. Now we step into the final chapter, which is the longest chapter of the book. The retelling of 100 pages, the last 100 pages, also includes the appendixes within the book. Now, Paul seized military action because the Sadakwa had surrendered and the Emperor's ship crashed. Now he was trapped within the ship, circled by the troops of the free men. Paul, along with Stilgar and Gurney, are headed into the house where the whole book started, the place where Duke Leto and Lady Jessica went to in the beginning. And Paul takes the chair in the dining room to wait for the arrival of the Emperor. He gives orders for the for his troops to bring the Emperor and his suite to discuss the matters of surrender. Now, this is where everything unravels, basically, because there's political character of the battle, the military character of the battle, and the character of Paul himself, for he has become pre-silent. He has become Quasit's Haderach, a being that is able to see in future and the past. So, in the events, we finally see Tufir once again meeting Paul. Tufir, if you remember, was the trainer of Paul at the Duke Leto's house, but then became the servant of the Harkonnen house because he assumed Paul dead. Now, Tufir was forced by the Emperor to kill Paul, but he refused and took the poisoned needle for himself. Tufir killed himself in the eyes of Paul, and Paul, greatly saddened by this, began the dispute with the Emperor, talking about the positions which he requires in order for the Emperor to be left alive. So Paul requests to marry the daughter of the Emperor, Irulan, while also keeping Chani as his concubine. If you remember, Chani was his wife during the Freeman times, to whom he had a son who got killed. Now, he also wants all of the papers for the Charm Company, which is the economical structure of the empire, which means he basically is stripping the Emperor of all of his economic valuables. And he also wants the throne itself, so he wants to become the Emperor of the Empire. The Empire, unfortunately, doesn't have a name, or at least it is not mentioned in the book, while giving the Emperor the Solus Secundos, from which the Sardauka are from. This, of course, enrages the Emperor, and he tries to continue his clever game by bringing Feud-Ruthar. Feud-Ruthar is the nephew of the now dead Baron Harkonnen, who is trained to kill in the gladiator arenas with trickery, using poison needles, special words that make people less active, and so on. So, because of this, the Emperor has no doubt that Feud-Rathar will kill Paul, but this doesn't happen. After, I think, a five or maybe 6 page standout, Feud-Rathar is killed by Paul with a clean kill, with a clean knife kill from a crystallite knife. Now, a new character steps in. Well, a rather new character, Count Fenrig, who is apparently a born-to-be Quasit Haderach, and he is, because of this, escaped the future vision of Paul, and because of this, Paul assumes that Count Fenrig will kill him. The Emperor requests so in Count Fenrig to kill Paul, but he somehow refuses. This is kind of hard to get for me, at least, but Fenrig refused to kill Paul, and because of this, Paul continued to live. Now, Paul requests the guild to move all the ships of all the duchies away from the Arrakis, because if you remember, the fleet is still outside of the planet. Only the Emperor and the Harkonnens have landed. The guild initially declines, well, the guild representatives, but Paul makes them yield because he has the ability to destroy spice. And spice, as we know, is the main source of profit for the guild. Because of this, they agree with Paul. They side with him only for the economic, the lack of economic downfalls, because otherwise he would kill the entire industry. Because of this, Paul has the upper hand in everything, and the Emperor has to agree with him. Paul has defeated the Emperor, the Harkonnens, and has become the Emperor of the Intergalactic Empire. Now, for the appendixes. The appendixes are quite lengthy, and they contain additional information about the world of Arrakis. The first appendix, I'll just touch briefly on the appendixes because there's a lot of information to unpack. The first appendix is about the ecology of the Arrakis and also the history of Kynes, the planetologist, with the Freemen. In this appendix, we learn of the ecology and of how Shai-Hulud, the worms, are actually keeping the sands on the Arrakis. Without them, there would be luscious forests, plains of green, and an Earth-like climate. The next appendix is about the religion on the Arrakis, and from the book, it stems from the original sources planted there by Bene Gesserit, the ideological cult within the Empire. The third appendix is about the Bene Gesserit ways and the idea of eugenics within the cult, so as to make powerful warriors that can yield special magic of the voice, which exists within the universe. And I think that is it for the Dune, the book by Frank Herbert.